this video, I'm going to share how to remove soft gel extensions. This is rather easy, but I noticed that some people are doing mistakes which lead to damaged nails, redness of the nail plate, or simply this process is taking too long. Coming up. Hello, this is Anastasia. Soft gel extensions is one of the easiest and fastest way to do long nail extensions. I think a person who came up with this kind of product is a genius, because these made nail extensions available to everyone: nail technicians who have no idea how to do extensions, DIY users, nail enthusiasts, and basically anyone who wants to do nails at home. Removal is simple too, but it is important to do it the right way, because I think the goal of any service is not only to have beautiful nails, but also to have healthy, natural nails. This is going to be our biggest focus in this video. Let's get started. We will need foil, dispenser for liquid, any kind of hand cream, 180 grit file, tip cutter, carbide or ceramic beads and e-file, orange wood stick or a pusher, cotton pad and acetone or special remover liquid. Regular cotton or cotton pads work just great for it, so I think one of the most convenient ways to use them is simply to cut it into 4 pieces and then to separate them in half, which means out of one cotton pad we have 8 pieces, and that's almost enough for both hands. Well, we will need 2 additional ones. It also depends on the size of the nails. If the nails are longer, we will probably need a little more. Soft gel extensions, I think it's been 2.5 weeks. She did them by herself. And first we need to get rid of the free edge, and the fastest and easiest way to do this is to use a tip cutter. So we simply clip the free edge as short as possible. You can also do it by using electric nail file, but it is going to take longer. And this is the other hand, by the way. One nail we do not need to remove anymore because it's been removed by itself somehow, and then I'm going to clip off the free edge. Soft gel extensions include tips, gel we use to attach them, some gel polish we applied on top, and the top coat. So normally these extensions were designed so we can easily take them off at home by soaking them off. But the thing is that most glossy top coats cannot be soaked off, which means we need to remove it. We can do it by using a hand file. I would recommend to use at least 150 or maybe even 100 grit file, but please be careful, do not touch the skin with this kind of abrasive. But if you have an e-file, it will be much faster, and I recommend to use a carbide or ceramic bead. The one I'm using is with green abrasive mark, which means it is rather coarse, and the speed is 25,000 rotations per minute. I strongly do not recommend to use a low speed, because when you're working at a low speed, such as 10 or 12,000 RPMs, that means it is going to rotate slower and there will be more friction and more heat every time you press on the nail, and it may cause heat spikes. But when the bit is good quality, when you have a powerful e-file, you do not need to press, and working at 25k RPMs will be completely painless.
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play, and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say.
Normally, we need to file off only the top coat, but since the layers are usually very thin, it is almost impossible to file only the top coat, and eventually you are going to file off the color too, which I recommend you to do as well, because sometimes you just have no idea which product was used. I mean, if you're 100% sure that you used a gel polish that can be soaked off like 100%, then sure, you can do this. But sometimes when, let's say, you have a client and you have no idea which product was used on her before, it may be a hard gel. And as you probably know, a hard gel cannot be soaked off. So I recommend to file off the color too. Since we're using an electric file anyways, and we're filing the color from the top, why not file a little bit of the tip too? Do you know what I mean? And no, we're not going to file it all the way down, because this is quite dangerous and we can touch and damage the nail plate, and we do not want that. But what I recommend you to do is to file not only the top coat and the color, but also a little bit of the product, and it will help you to speed up the service. If you will take a look at this nail, you will notice that it was done not that long time ago, I think about a week ago, and when the product is rather fresh, it's usually harder to take it off. So when we have an outgrown nails at least 3, 4, or even 5 weeks, it is much easier to take them off. So the hand that I started with was like that. It's been about 2.5 weeks. And on this hand, I think we have about 3 nails that are fresh, and it is usually taking longer to take them off. We are done with the filing part, and let's proceed to the soak-off part. But first, we need to protect the skin. Acetone and any liquids that are designed for product removal usually dry the skin. And if your client already has a skin that is very dry, I recommend you to use any kind of moisturizing cream. Simply apply it on the cuticle as well as on the surrounding skin around the nail. Then wrap it in the foil, saturate the cotton pad with an acetone, and then we simply wrap the finger up like a candy with a foil. Make sure there is no holes underneath, so the acetone is not going to evaporate somewhere. I have a client with a very sensitive skin, and my skin is rather sensitive too. And when I used to soak off acrylic nails all the time using this method, and we were not using a cream yet back then, usually after a week or two, my skin was extremely dry and I had cracks sometimes and it was peeling a little bit. But when I started using this trick, I never had this problem again. So once again, we apply cream not only on the cuticle but also on the side walls as well as on the skin underneath, including hypernicum. Do not worry if you apply too much or it gets on top of the nail, it is not going to affect the removal. Well, you definitely do not want to cover the entire surface of the nail with it, but it's totally fine if it gets somewhere. And this way we're going to protect the skin. If the client has an oily skin, then usually you do not need to do that. I recommend using any kind of rich moisturizing cream, more like a night cream instead of a lotion, because they usually have a lighter consistency. Here's another trick for removal. I use a glass dip-and dish, then I put some cotton pads in it and saturate them with the acetone. So they will be already saturated with it, and then I simply apply this cotton piece on top of the nail and wrap it. I try to cut them so they are going to mimic the shape and the size of the nail, because we only need to soak off the product, right? We do not really need to touch the surrounding skin. I personally prefer this method compared to a traditional one where we simply use a bowl and pour some acetone in it for a few reasons. First of all, you will waste more product. Second, some clients cannot really sit still for a long time. And most importantly, there is no safe way to somehow heat it up, because as you probably know, it is dangerous to heat up the acetone. We definitely do not want to do that. But when we wrap up the finger with aluminum foil, this is how we're going to keep some heat inside, and it is definitely a safe method to do that. When you're done with wrapping all the fingers, you can also use a regular towel and wrap them up in a towel and set the timer for about 10 minutes. It really depends on the length, the size of the nails. It also depends on how fresh or not this set is. And remember, this thumb was created about a week ago, which means it is rather fresh. We even have some product under the cuticle. So with this one, 10 minutes probably will not be enough. And this is what you do when you see that. Part of the product is already soft, so we can carefully take off the top layer, but please do not do this as I show now, because this way we are taking the product all the way to the nail, which looks okay from the first side, but actually we are removing some layers from the natural nail from the top, and this nail is going to be thinner than it used to be. So please do not ever do that. Normally when you take the foil off the nail, this is what you're supposed to see. It can be easily and painlessly taken off from the nail without a need to somehow aggressively scrape it with an orange wood stick or anything else. And I just gently take off the leftovers from the product, from the cuticle, and that's it. So this is ideally what needs to happen. If you see that you take the foil off and the product is still hard, it's not completely soaked off, that means you simply need to take off the upper layer with a soft product and repeat. When we repeat, we do pretty much the same. Just make sure you saturate another cotton pad with the acetone, and I'm cutting it so it is going to fit to the size of the nail. Wrap it up again, and then you can wait for additional 5 to 10 minutes depending on the nail. But for the thumbs we usually need longer time, so I decided to do it another 10 minutes. And while you wait, you may continue work with the opposite hand. And yes, now it can be easily separated, and we do not need to somehow aggressively scrape it. And then we can carefully remove the leftovers with a buffer or a hand file. This is how we should remove soft gel extensions without damaging our own nails. Let me know if you learned something new from this video, and if you enjoyed watching this, please do not forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time here on my channel, consider subscribing, as I post educational videos and tutorials just like this one every week. See you in my next one. Goodbye!